Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak, joined by my two close friends, Ralph Schrager up in Massachusetts and Ray Clifford out in Ohio, the Buckeye State. Guys, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to do a little bit of house cleaning, which there's not really much to do. First of all, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. They won in a very exciting game, 27-20. There's no news on the Hassan Reddick issue. I don't know what's going to happen. I thought maybe yesterday they were going to sign him, but it didn't. Dan Letterfield, is that his name, Ray?
Leberfield.
Leverfield. He let out
Leverfield.
some teases about him that his locker was being filled with equipment or something. But nothing. But nothing happened there. So we're on the eve almost of the opening night on Monday night. So with that, I just want to ask Ray, how you doing out there? Okay, Ray?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you hear
Ray
me?
was having some back issues. We almost had to put him on the injured reserve. How you making out with your back?
It's ongoing issue, but we'll see. It's going to be
Did you get the
see
book
what
yet?
happens over the next week.
Yeah.
No, but I got a shot in the back a couple of days ago, so
Oh,
see if that helps.
All right. And
Go
Ralph,
from there.
how are you doing up there? And with
great. It's good running weather now, so I'm happy.
it is, and Ralph's in the Patriot territory. I want you to know, Ralph. I wasn't going to do any suicide, no pools this year, but my
No.
son offered one pool. He said he'd pay for it. So I'm in one suicide pool. I picked the Cincinnati Bengals over the Patriots. So that's
That sounds like a good bet. You know
Yeah.
what? You know what? I still can't believe the Jets are 9.5 over under for wins. To me, that's a good bet.
I think so too, over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a lot to cover. And Ralph, you have a classic Jets trivia, which I usually am just a spectator, but let's see.
Yes, I do. No, I think guys might be able to get this one. Bill Parcells coached. This is an opening day question, a week one question. Bill Parcells coached the Jets for 3 years, and in each of those 3 years, his week one quarterback was a different quarterback. So it was 3 different quarterbacks started for opening games for Bill Parcells. Can you name the quarterbacks?
I think I could do that.
Yeah, I figured I'd throw you guys an easier one today.
Actually, I got two. I don't know. Ray should get this one though.
Always put the pressure on
I always
Ray.
do that. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray, you're gonna get that right. All right. Hassan Reddick is he's like holding out, and nobody can understand why. There are all these rumors, and we've been through this over and over ad nauseum. And I guess the question I have is, what week, if any, will Reddick join the Jets? And by the way, Rich Cimini from ESPN had an interesting take. He doesn't think he'll ever wear a Jets uniform.
Mm.
He says that he is going to be part of a package sent to the Raiders for Devontae Adams sometime in
Ooh,
October.
that sounds like some clickbait, boy. But that's
Yeah. So you know what? I thought it was going to be yesterday. I'll say this, that I think he's going to sign tomorrow, Saturday. By the way, we're recording this on Friday, September 6th at 12:30. I think he's going to sign tomorrow. What about you, Ray?
I think he's going to hold out till week 2 and see how they do. I think he. I could be wrong, but I think he's going to see if they have any troubles getting any pressure from his side of the line, and if they struggle defensively in any way over there, he's going to feel like he has some leverage for them to want to get him in there. I think he'll hold out the one game.
Right.
I hope not, but I could see him doing it.
Yeah. How about you, Ralph?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He's going to hold out one game, and I think it goes both ways. I think if the Jets do put on some pressure, then they have the leverage, and he might lower his demands. So I think that well, I would take that. I'd be very happy with that if you said that right now. I could live with missing a game.
I'm looking at the Jets depth chart, and I got to tell you, when I see the starting edge, Michael Clemens, that makes me incredibly nervous. I'm just not a Michael Clemens fan. I don't care what Robert Saleh, what he's dishing out to us. At this point, I'll be honest with you, I would feel more comfortable with Tack McKinley starting at that edge.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know what he's doing. What's your thoughts, Ray?
I'm not that worried about that. I mean, because with the way he substitutes guys, if Clemens is struggling, we'll see McKinley pretty quickly. But I think the problem for me with Clemens has been he went from a guy who was getting pressure and uh, and making plays from the outside that first year to when they moved him inside, and he doesn't look like he's, at least in the preseason, didn't look like he's adapted back yet. But I thought he played okay on the run in the preseason, and that's probably more important than pressure right now in this game. I think keeping keeping McCaffrey inside in the middle as opposed to getting around the end, to me, is what I want to see him stop.
Right. And Ralph, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of his either. I think they like him on special teams. He does put pressure on punters, but I think you're just going to see him on running plays, and at a certain point, maybe not even that very much. We're not alone. I take the pulse of Jet Nation, and most people are not Michael Clemens fans. The whole act with the tough guy stuff is sort of worn thin.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Tad McKinley, like I watched a lot of clips of him in UCLA and Atlanta. That guy he plays the run pretty well too. I think he should be starting for the team very, very soon.
That's what I think, and I just can't see him. This Michael Clemens. And all right, here we go. A question from Ralph, and I'm going to start out because Ray, I gave Ralph a hint. Who will lead the team in interceptions? And I'm going to say, surprisingly, I think it's going to be Tony Adams. And it's not going to be a big number. I think it's going to be 4. Okay. So my pick, and I'm not a huge Tony Adams fan. We've been on him for like the day he stepped into Florham Park, but I'm going to say Tony Adams. How about you, Ralph?
I was thinking Tony Adams, because there's nobody else really jumps out. But even though he's not going to start, I'm going to say Ashton Davis with about 4.
He's always around the ball.
He's around the ball,
Yes.
and they don't really have any great ball hawks unless Tony Adams suddenly becomes one at this point.
Right. Okay. And how about you, Ray?
Well, I was going to repeat last year's, but Ralph called me out on it. So,
well, there's no Whitehead anymore to win that award.
That was the other one I was going to say. Whitehead's still on the team now.
Whitehead wraps it up in the first game of the year, right?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, which I'm hopeful that Sauce Gardner has found his hands and can hold on to a few and not drop more than he catches. And I think he could lead the team.
Yeah, except they don't throw it his way very much.
No,
so that's
no. Every time he had the chance last year,
I know. Yeah.
But in one respect, Ray, I'm going to agree with that. Sauce Gardner, he's going to have a couple of interceptions, even though they don't throw his way a lot, Ralph.
Yeah.
I really believe that somehow
they still like to challenge him. I don't know why sometimes, but they still like to challenge him. So
yeah, they do. So okay, how about in sacks? I'll start with Ray. Who do you think is going to lead the team in sacks?
This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
It really is.
So I'm just going with I think he might take another step forward. I'm going to go with JJ Jermaine Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna. He impressed me so much last year, the leap he took, and I just think with the guys we have, especially if Reddick comes in, that it's just going to make it that much easier for him. I think he's going to lead.
Give me a number.
I don't think any of them will go crazy because I think it's going to be spread out, but I'll go with 9.
Okay, let me go, Ralph, because I have the same pick, Jermaine Johnson, and I'm going to go with 11. Again, I think he's going to take the next step. I think they will get pressure. So I say Jermaine Johnson with 11. How about you, Ralph?
Well, obviously Reddick is the is the big question mark. If he plays, you'd obviously, if you knew he was going to play, you'd pick him. I'm going to go with Tack McKinley. I really like this guy. I watched a lot of film of him, and he looks like he's got his mojo back. He's playing now. He like the way he used to play at college and with Atlanta. So I think it's going to, pretty quickly, they're going to realize that he's going to be getting a lot more reps.
How many sacks?
Okay, I'll go with 10. Yeah.
Okay,
Nobody even mentioned Quentin Williams, interestingly enough.
right, right.
He just pressures. He doesn't really seem to.
Yeah. Although the year before he had about 12, I think.
Did
Then
he?
then they started double teaming him last year on every play.
Right.
And they will again.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't realize he had 12 though. Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Just pressure.
I mentioned this last time, but I just want to confirm, especially with you, Ralph, because you seem not bothered, but this Javon Kinlaw, he doesn't worry you on the defensive line at all?
He doesn't worry me. I mean, they think he's going to be something special. I think he's just going to be, another big body out there. Maybe a little bit better than Solomon Thomas or something like that in that area. I don't expect big things out of him. They're really pumping him up. He's the Tony Adams, Jamie and Sherwood of this year's class, a real propaganda machine. He and Malachi Corley, but I think he'd be okay. I think he'll be fine. Nothing great though.
Same thing to you, Ray. I know we talked about it last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Until I see something otherwise. I mean, I think, they needed a guy, they had Tony Adams for the backfield. They have Sherwood for the linebacker. So they needed a lineman to pump up. So Kinlaw looks like he's the pick, but
Right.
I'd be super happy if he surprises me, but I have no really high expectations.
Yeah, and it looks like Leonard Taylor III is going to be involved in the rotation. He's number 2 in the depth chart behind Kinlaw. All right, who will be second in receiving yardage for the Jets? I'm going to start with Ralph. That's a good question because we all think that number 1 is going to be Garrett Wilson. So, Ralph, who do you think is going to be second in receiving?
Well, maybe I'll follow Rich Cimini and say Devontae Adams. This is a tough question. You can either say Breece Hall, you could say Tyler Conklin and Mike Williams. I think I'll go with Mike Williams.
Okay. And it was announced, I guess, Wednesday or Thursday by Robert Saleh, who's a Jet coach, that he's going to be on a pitch count.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, how long did they keep Breece Hall on that? I think maybe till the bye week or something like that. But he actually was pretty productive.
And remember the one play was against Buffalo where we all agreed if he was in shape he would have won.
Yeah, he would have taken that easily. He ran out of gas. He looked like Marcus May trying to run that 100-yard interception. He just fell apart.
You've all seen that tape of, I guess, 2 years. I guess it was 2 years ago. Daniel Jones, when he broke away, he was ahead of the field. Then he fell on his own feet. I don't know if you saw that. He just could not stay up. It was a riot. It really is. If I find it, I'll send it to you. All right, Ray, what about you? Who's going to be second in receiving?
I know you guys are going to trash me for this one, but it's my Eccles pick of the offense. I don't trust that Mike Williams is going to get enough time, or I would have picked him. And I don't think Rodgers uses the tight ends enough. I think Breece Hall could be it, but I'm going to say, believe it or not, that I think if Rodgers plays the whole year, I think Lazard is going to get a lot more play.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
Because he did well under Rodgers. I mean, that's why we went after him. I think with Rodgers back there, Lazard's going to have a much more of an impact on the offense than he did last year.
Okay, good pick. I'm gonna go with Tyler Conklin. I know he doesn't use the tight ends a lot, and I think it's going to be, you're going to see him not so much in the first game because the 49ers have very good linebackers, but you're going to see after the first game, I think he's going to start using him. And Tyler Conklin is very underrated when he has the ball, the way he barrels over people. So I'm going to say Tyler Conklin.
I
Ray,
hope you're right.
I hope so too. Who's going to lead the Jets in interceptions?
We already did that.
We did that.
Oh, I'm sorry, touchdowns.
Oh,
Touchdown scored, yeah.
Touchdown scored.
I'm glad you're asking Ray first on these. I don't want these are hard.
Yeah,
They
you'll have to have a repeat.
I'm going with Wilson just because of how much Rodgers loves throwing the ball as opposed to handing it off. But I think it's going to be between him and personally, I think it's between him and Brees. But we'll see how much Brees gets to handle the ball when they get down inside the 10. Rodgers just loves to throw it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next, Rob, because if you have a lot of surprise picks, I want to make sure I get this one before you. My surprise pick for this is, wait a minute, where did I have it?
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it's actually for fantasy players, of which I don't do. It's a big controversy. People saying, are they going to keep Brees Hall in when they're inside the 5-yard line? Are they going to take him out and just give it to Braylon Allen? Braylon Allen has looked better than I even thought. He has moves. He's good with contact. I had read that sometimes he shies away from contact, but I didn't see that in the preseason. I love the way this guy moves. So I'm going to say Braylon Allen. Ralph?
Well, I'll go with Brees Hall then, which I was going to do anyway. The thing about Brees Hall is he does break long ones, catching and running. So even if he doesn't get it a lot inside the 5, and I think he will be there. I don't think they're going to put Braylon Allen in all the time, but hopefully, obviously on 3rd and 4th and 1s, you want Allen in there. But I'll go with Hall.
Okay, good. Ralph, we're going to start with you in the next one. Who's going to have more receiving yardage? Gibson or Corley?
Well, I think it'll start out Gibson, but I think by the end of the year, I'll go with Corley.
Okay, Ray, how about you?
I agree. I think it will start out with early with Gibson, but I think it'll be Gibson overall because I don't know. I'm not sold on Corley yet.
Neither am I.
I think he could, but I'm not sure he's going to make it before the end of the year that he's going to be. I mean, like later in the year, maybe even, but I don't think he's going to get enough action through the first half or more of the season to overtake Gibson.
Right. But I'm going to go with Corley. He didn't show a lot. I mean, but he didn't have Rodgers, and he wasn't making catches beyond more than 5 or 10 yards. But a couple of plays, I like what I saw. He's not going to get away with what he was doing in college, barreling over people. I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen. It might, but not as often as it happened in college. But
Right.
I'm going to go with Malachi Corley. All right, now I'm going to go to over-unders. I'm going to actually add one for the first one because we were talking about him. Brees Hall had 76 receptions last year for 591 yards. Here's my question.
76. Wow.
Yeah, knowing that the quarterback now is Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sure there's going to be dump offs, but are there going to be as many dump offs as last year? So I'm going to say an over under to Brees Hall receptions is 69.5, and I want to start with Ralph. What do you think? Over?
I think I'm gonna go under. He just has a lot of targets this year. And it's not that Hall couldn't do it, but I just don't think. I think he just has a lot of other choices too.
Okay, Ray.
Yeah, I think it's under. I think not only does he have more choices with weapons, the line's better. I think there will be quite a few less dump offs than there was last year, just because it's Rodgers back there. Even if the line is not doing well, he can make adjustments that I don't think Wilson was able to make. And so but I think he'll still get, I still think he'll be over 50 or maybe even over or right around 60. But
By the way, Ray wins $50 for being the first person to mention Zach Wilson on our show. That's our
somebody
new,
had to beat Marty to it.
that's our new feature. Yeah.
We have
But I
a
didn't bash it.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx bird come down.
Yeah.
That's right. Very good. I agree with Ray. I'm going to say he'll have between 60 and 65. And Nathaniel Hackett said last year one time he opened his mouth, said, I didn't realize what a good receiver he is. I was saying early in the year, and Ralph, I think, had disagreed. I would have split him out on some plays. And I think you're going to see that happening now as the season evolves, and if the Jets have another receiver to really do well, I don't care if it's Lazard, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's Gibson, you'll see that they're going to isolate Brees Hall wide. He'll go in motion. So I'm going to say I think it's going to be under, but that's a positive for the team.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
If you look at it, it really is. It's a positive. All right, Ralph, here we go. Over under Aaron Rodgers, 4,007 yards passing. I wonder where he got that number.
I just pulled it out of midair. Yeah, nah, it's actually a good number. It's not easy, but I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
Slightly, yeah.
All right, Ray.
I'm going to say over with the way they chuck the ball around. I think this year is going to be dynamic.
Okay, I'm going to say over, but I'm going to qualify that by saying if it is under, I think it's a good thing. It's probably a better thing. So,
Yeah.
but I'm still going to pick over just because I think we're going to see Garrett Wilson, if he doesn't tear his ACL by torquing his body in 100 different ways. The guy is unbelievable. He really is. To me,
You jinxed him just now.
I hope not. But he's like the Caitlin Clark of receivers. The moves he has. It's unbelievable. All right, Ray. Aaron Rodgers over under 31 TD passes.
I'm going to go over. I don't think by a lot, but even when he's inside the 10 or the 5, he just loves to throw the ball. So I think he's going to have every opportunity to go over, and I think he will.
Okay, Ralph.
By the way, of course, that's the Jet record for TD passes. That was Fitzpatrick, 31.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be right around there. I'll say he goes over by a couple.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to say 28. But whatever it is, it's going to be a healthy number. I really believe that. Ralph, Brees Hall, I think your favorite player, and actually all of ours, he's one of our top players. Over under 1,350 yards rushing. Keep in mind it's 17 games, over under.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm going to say over on this one. I think this is Brees Hall's big breakout year. He stays healthy, and he has a big number.
Okay, Ray?
I'm going to go with a little bit under. I think he's going to be in the 1,200 and something range. I think they're going to, as much as it's going to be hard for them to focus on anybody, I think they're going to really try and keep him in check. Other teams are as much as they can, but we got so many options too that I think they're going to keep him. Sal likes to keep guys fresh for the end of the year.
True.
So I think he's going to get a little less work early on.
In fact, I just heard Salah say that he's going to hold the starters out till the playoffs this
year. He won't play Rodgers till week 14.
That's one of these better lines, Ralph. I like that. I'm going to say under 2, and I agree with Ray. I think like he rotates the defensive line. He's going to start doing that. Not necessarily the beginning of the year, but maybe like towards the middle of the year when our other running backs get their footing, Brandon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and if Izzy's still on the team. So I'm going to say under again. I think it's a healthy under. Ralph, or maybe I'll start. Garrett Wilson, 1,450 yards, my favorite Jet. it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna say over. I think it's gonna be a dynamo. Early in the year, these macho cornerbacks are gonna say they're gonna cover him. They can't wait to play him. But once they get on the field, he's gonna burn him. And towards the middle of the year, he's gonna be double teamed. They're gonna focus on him. So I'm gonna say he's gonna have over 1,450 yards. Ray?
I'm feeling positive. I'm going over too. I mean, he's got a lot of options in the receiving department this year, but I think what you saw in the practices is he likes Wilson, and I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities. And then, like you say, with his elusiveness and stuff, he's going to do a lot of yards after catch too. So I'm gonna go with over.
How about you, Ralph?
Yeah, I think I am too. He just loves him so much. And you know what? He'll throw to him deep too. That's
Yep.
something that they really underutilized him the first 2 years. Obviously, we didn't have any pass blocking or good quarterbacking, so it was tough. Once in a while, Wilson rolled out. I'm going to get $50 for mentioning his name, and he'd roll right and he hit him a few times deep, but not nearly as much. You know, people say we need someone to take the top off the defense. I said we have someone, we just can't take advantage of it. You know,
Yeah.
and
Right.
you know, you watch him in every one of those scrimmages, and he, you know, immediately he was
Oh,
beating
my
guys
God.
long. It was like,
But just we have to remember how Carl Lawson looked in some of those scrimmages and practices too.
well,
So,
but if Garrett Wilson was going up against Becton, I would be questioning it though.
okay. All right, Ralph. Jets total wins, the number is 11.5, and that's right from the Sands Hotel out in the beautiful Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's my over under. I think, you know, 9.5, as we talked about before, I think is low for this team. I think if Rodgers stays healthy, you know, I mean, without an offensive line and with Zach Wilson, they won 7 games 2 years in a row. Are you telling me they can't win a few more games with all this more talent and Rodgers? So I think they'll win about 12 games.
Okay, Ray, how about you?
Right now, I'm going with under. I think they'll win 10. I'd like to see them do more. I got to see how this team, you know, comes together now. I mean, we didn't get to see any of the preseason with Rodgers under center. We didn't, you know, so to me, it's still a little bit iffy. I think they easily could go over, but at this point, I'm feeling a little more conservative on it.
I'm gonna go under. I think it's gonna be right there, Ray, 11-6. And of course, like every year, the losses are gonna bother me more than I enjoy the wins, but that's just the way it is with me. So I'm gonna say 11-6. Before we get to the 49er prediction, let's see if we could talk about quickly the David Clowney Award preseason. I'm gonna have Ralph describe how we came up with it. We're gonna nominate like 3 or 4 players, and then sometime during the year we'll come up with a winner. And go ahead, Ralph, you describe the player and the award.
David Clowney, of course, about 15 years ago, was this phenom in August for a couple of years as a receiver and never did a thing otherwise. So we give an award to the guy who we think has had a great preseason, but will probably never see any results during the regular season.
Well, not that we probably won't if we don't. Well, if that's the case, Ralph, I mean, if it's not a rookie, I mean, we have to put Tack McKinley as a nominee because he was phenomenal in the preseason, don't you think?
Yeah, he was. That's true.
So Tack McKinley.
But
All
I
right.
don't.
And Ray, do you have a nominee?
Did David Clowney make the 53-man roster those years? I don't even remember.
I think the first year he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go next. Okay. And I'm looking at the depth chart. I'm going to say, with all the hype, Leonard Taylor, the second. I actually think he's going to pan out, but we have to put him in there because undrafted free agent made the team. So I'm going to say Leonard Taylor. How about you, Ray?
Well, And this, we're not doing one for each side of the ball, right? This is just,
No.
Just throw some names out. And you can pick guys on the practice squad too.
And it doesn't have to be a rookie. So if you wanted to take
no, it doesn't. But I'm thinking right now, I have not been impressed with Malachi Corley. So I'm
Okay.
just
Wow.
afraid that's who it's
That's
going
a
to be.
good one. Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Yeah, okay, good. Malachi Corley. All right.
I hope I'm really wrong on that, by the way.
Should,
I'm going to mention Brandon Smith because he's the classic clowny type clown. I hope he does something, but
how about this guy's not a rookie? How about Izzy Abanikanda with his preseason?
I guess you can say that.
So let's
I got one more, Jared Bernard Converse.
Ooh, he was really good. You're right. Okay, so wow, this is going to be very competitive, Ralph.
Yeah.
We might have to pay for extra airtime on Sirius Radio or CBS. So
Right,
we have Leonard Taylor the second, Malachi Corley, Brandon Smith, Izzy Abanikanda, Jared Bernard Converse, and
You didn't put Tack McKinley down.
Pat McKinley.
Didn't Ralph's favorite linebacker make the team?
Well, yeah, Cliff Vaughn and Ralph. Yeah, he he did, and he's starting. Jamie Sherwood.
Yeah,
he's starting. So I don't know if we should put him down.
No, he's already retired the award. He and Tony Adams, they've already got their trophies and their.
We'll leave it like that. Let's say like around Thanksgiving, we'll pick the winner. Okay, if we remember it. So put that in here. All right. Jets 49ers prediction. I have no idea where to go with this, so I'm going to go last. I'm going to start with Ralph, then Ray, then I'm going to pick. Go ahead, Ralph.
I'll give you a number. I'm going to say 31-17 Jets. I just have a good feeling about this game. I like the idea of playing a Super Bowl loser at the opening week. There usually is a hangover, and I'm counting on the hangover.
Ray?
I'd love to feel like I'm that positive, but San Fran is just like, to me, a really tough one. But I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to say probably something like 31-28, but San Fran.
That'll be exciting.
I'm going to go 24-20, the Jets. A lot of factors, and I don't want to get too deep, but I really love, and we mentioned it last podcast, the training camp that Robert Saleh ran. I think that's going to pay dividends, mostly towards the middle and end of the season, but I think it's a good way to really approach the season. I still am not 100% convinced that Trent Williams will be even like 90%, even though
True. Yeah.
I keep reading that he's one of these guys, you can wake him up at 3 a.m, he'd be on the field at 5 blocking. He's 36 years old.
Fortunately, it's a night game, so we won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's right. And
maybe he'll be ready for bed, actually.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey he's not 100%.
No, he's not. Yeah.
He's having a problem with his calf. And look, I love the guy as a player, but they should beware, because whenever you hear a calf problem, a lot of times it turns into Achilles.
Well, that's pretty much what happened to Rodgers last year.
Yeah.
Remember, he had the calf early in the year,
Yeah.
in the training camp. They were doing some other exercise he said he'd never done before, and he pulled his calf muscle. Yeah.
And Ayuk, who signed, I think he'll be good. He had enough time to get in there. He keeps himself in shape, but I'm guessing that Sauce will be on him. Hopefully, they'll listen to us and they'll flip-flop Sauce with the best receiver, which I can't stand that. Jeff Ulrich, his theory. I just think you go with the best guy, because the other team, they're always going to put their best receiver on the opposite side of Sauce. It just never made sense to me last year when I heard it. Okay, so that's our predictions. Now we're going to go back to my favorite category. Ralph, who do you take?
Well, today we have a couple of inside linebackers who spent their whole career with the Jets. They were both very good, not great. And one of them, to me, was an overachiever and one was an underachiever, and they kind of met in the middle. I'm talking about Marvin Jones and Kyle Clifton.
Boy, it's fine. I love Marvin Jones, but I mean, he was an underachiever. If you remember, at the time when they came out, I wanted them to take his teammate, who they said was undersized, the linebacker who ended up
Yeah,
at
went to Tampa Bay.
Tampa
What the hell
Bay.
was his? Yeah,
Yeah, who turned out, I think he might have made the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure.
yeah.
But I'm gonna say Marvin Jones, though it's tough. Kyle Clifton, I mean, he was a tackle machine in a way, and he did
Yeah.
play above his pay grade and above his ability. But I'm gonna go with Marvin Jones, right?
Yeah, I go with Marvin Jones. I like Kyle Clifton too, but I thought Marvin. I think what slowed Marvin down was that year he got taken out with the knee, um,
I
and
think it was a hip.
was it a hip? I thought he got his knee blown out.
Well,
Oh,
I
you're probably
know
right.
at the time he had a non-contact injury. I remember limping
I
around.
know he was.
Doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
know it took a whole year out
Yeah,
out of him, and I think it. I think that hurt him in the long run too. But I just liked him. He was a tough guy in the middle, and I like it. He wasn't as he didn't make a lot of plays, like in coverage and things like that. But
Uh,
I liked him in the middle.
Before Ralph, I just want to add, you made a point, Ray, and I agree. One thing about Marvin Jones, I don't know how this guy, he would hold his ground when a running back would come full force. He wouldn't give up an inch. It was just incredible. Some plays.
Well, you know what his nickname was in college? Shade Tree.
Shade tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched him a lot in college, and he was pumped up as the best linebacker in the country. And they thought he was going to be a big star. And while I think it's pretty close, I can't get past the fact that he just disappointed me a little bit. I was expecting a star, and he was
Mhm.
just solid. So I'm going to go with Kyle Clifton, who I just thought he had just amazed me his career. He was actually a third round pick, which is not that bad, but the guy just got every ounce of talent out of what he had.
He did. Okay. And with that, we're going to circle around to the trivia question. Before we do, is there anything else you guys want to add about anything? Hassan Reddick, Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers, Zach.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is for any Jet fan out there is if the Jets win this game, don't get too high, and if they lose it, don't get too low. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint because whatever happens the next week, it could be totally offset by a good or a bad game at Tennessee. It's a long season, and I'll give you a perfect example of that after you answer the trivia question that has something to do with it.
Okay, good. All
I
right. So,
agree. I think that's exactly why I'm saying it's early. The team hasn't really been together. In training camp, it's been mostly backups. So anything could happen in this game, but it doesn't mean
Yeah, week
anything.
one is crazy for bettors.
Yeah. Yeah.
it
And
is.
it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't mean we're going anywhere. It doesn't mean we're going to be terrible. It doesn't mean we're going to be great.
yeah.
Just get through the
All
first
right.
game and, move on.
All right, Ralph, reread the trivia question. We'll try to go
Okay.
answers. I got two, but go ahead.
Okay. When Parcells coached the team for 3 years, and in each opening game of the season, he had a different quarterback. Can you name the three quarterbacks that opened the 3 seasons for Bill Parcells?
Ray, you want to start? You'll get them. I know, Ray. I have two.
Well, yeah, the two are obvious, but I have a question on the third one. Are we talking starting like first snap of the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was Foley,
I don't think
Vinny. Foley didn't start the year. Vinny.
Go ahead.
Just answer the question, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Foley, Vinny, and then I'm at a loss for the third.
Well, the
one.
other one's Neil O'Donnell. I have Neil O'Donnell.
Oh, Christ.
Vinny.
Okay. You got it. Those are the three.
Yeah, Neil. I couldn't
started
think of the third one.
Foley started, and here's my point I was going to make. The
Where's
last
Rick?
time the Jets opened a season out in San Francisco, Glenn Foley started. That was the Garrison Hurst game.
Yeah.
99 yards.
Yeah, 96, I think.
96,
Yeah, but
yeah.
one of the worst losses in Jet history. It was horrible. And you know what? This is to my point. They ended up 30 minutes from the Super Bowl that year
Yep.
after that horrific first game. So it's a long season.
And
And so
a lot of
And
that,
Foley
Ralph,
didn't-
is the coach redirecting their psyche,
yeah,
creating a horrible loss. You're right.
you
And
know,
I'll give you an example. Years ago, if you remember, the winner of the NFL championship would play the college all-stars.
that's
Yeah.
right.
And the Green Bay Packers lost to the college all-stars one year, and Jerry Kramer, in his great book Instant Replay, maintains that that's what ruined their next season. That one game, losing to them.
Yeah.
So, but go
You
ahead.
know, the Jets played that in the All-Stars, and I remember the final score, but I can't remember who won. I think it was 26-24. I don't know if the Jets pulled it out or they lost the
Don't
game.
know.
Do you
I
remember?
think the only loss was the Packers, wasn't
Packers, yeah.
it? I think.
I'm gonna look that up afterwards because that was a bizarre game and it was really terrible. I felt badly for the players because they missed all of training camp, working out, practicing for this game, which was a meaningless game, and they were get there late. Kind of glad they got rid of that, but it was
When you think about it, there was before sports like really took off, there were like a lot of meaningless games. That college all-star game, like you said, Ralph, is brutal. But if you remember in basketball, they used to have a runner-up thing for third place in the NCAA.
yeah, in the NCAAs, right?
Bill
Yeah,
Bradley had like 50 points.
yeah, 58, I think. Yeah.
It's such a meaningless
Consolation
game.
game.
Consolation game.
Well, do you remember how many exhibition games the NFL had? They had like about 5, I think. It was
6,
crazy.
I believe.
6. Yeah, which is almost half the season, where there was a 14-game season. It was crazy. It was just unbelievable.
It was nuts. All right. Anything else before we close out Jets Rewind? And we want to just extend a good luck to all Jets fans. We want you to enjoy the game, and it should be a lot of fun. And make sure you take a nap if you get up early Tuesday morning. So anything else you want to add before we close it out?
One
Yeah,
question for you guys. Ralph, in that San Fran game, when did Foley get hurt that year? Was it the next game?
I think he played 2 or 3 games. I don't know if did he get hurt or they just benched him?
Did something with his ribs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He hurt his ribs, and I think he was hiding it from Parcells, and
He was
Parcells
trying to.
found out. He went berserk on him, and that was the end of their relationship. But-
Although I wish he'd have kept him as the backup and way back then. He got mad at him and sent him off to Seattle.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
Go ahead, Ralph.
By the way, in it's very interesting that the first game of Parcells' first year, Marty was right. It was Neil O'Donnell. You remember they played Seattle? They beat them like 41-0. Neil O'Donnell, he threw 5 touchdowns and no interceptions that game. That's unbelievable.
That's really good. All right, for Ralph Schrager, Ray Clifford, and everyone else, and Ray, who do the Buckeyes play this week?
The
Some Patsy.
Monsters of the Midway, Western Michigan.
Oh, for God's sake! They got to do something about these cupcake games. It's just
That's just it. Everybody starts out with 2 or 3 cupcake. Not everybody. I mean,
not everyone.
They
Yeah.
went down to Texas A&M, and there's another pretty big game this weekend. Texas played LSU. They have some that start out, but most teams.
Ohio State's had a couple of tough ones in the last few years. Didn't they
Yeah,
play with Notre Dame one year or something like that?
Well, Notre Dame plays those games early, so if you're going to Notre Dame on your schedule.
By the way, are they expanding it this year, the playoffs, or is it next year?
Yeah, no, it's this year.
12.
Oh, it's going to be how many? 12?
12.
teams.
I thought they were going to go to 8. They went to 12.
So now these teams should be playing tougher schedules because
Right.
they have a lot of room to.
Yeah, you don't have to go undefeated. One
No.
loss doesn't put you out. Hell, 2 losses probably doesn't put you out.
No, not at all. Yeah.
All right, let's close this out, and we could chat behind the curtain. All right. Until next time, this has been Jets Rewind.